Hello, welcome to STH English. When prime ministers, presidents, government representatives, or state representatives travel to other countries on important visits, everything has to be spick and span. Everything has to be choreographed. There is nothing left to imagination. Of course, there is certain spontaneity that creeps into engagements and movements and occasions where pictures are taken, photo ops as we call them in our own lingo. But it is not really an open-ended, free-for-all, say anything, do anything kind of a field. Increasingly, there is a tendency towards what is called personalized diplomacy, that you bring your own persona to the way you engage with the world leaders and the way you conduct yourself on the global stage. But even that is fairly predetermined and choreographed. Your sentences are rehearsed, your seemingly spontaneous movements are also predetermined and pre-decided, and you go over with your protocol staff a couple of times as to how I know you too well, or I don't want to know you that well kind of an attitude, depending on who you're meeting, will go down in public. Remember, it is all about how you come across on the global stage. It is very surprising that PM Narindra Modi does not seem to have learnt much from his stints at power. He has moved around on the global stage like nobody's business. Wherever there's a global event, Narendra Modi is available there, and India, because of its geographic size, because of its lobbying potential, because of its economic weight, has been able to pull a lot of weight and attention wherever Narendra Modi has gone. Narendra Modi has also tried to represent India in his own personal ways and has tried to give it an Indian native touch wherever he has gone. If you look at his engagements, the more he comes under stress at home, the more he tries to affect I am the cool guy kind of a demeanor. That is not really cutting it. We saw Narendra Modi conduct himself in a very awkward way at the summit of the industrialized countries in Canada. When the summit was going on, he was seen moving around, interacting with people, and trying to create a bonhomie or a feel-good kind of environment with them, striking a personal chord. But he was audio-wise and video-wise and action-wise so not in sync with the mood in the room. So somebody would approach him and try to have a conversation, and suddenly, out of nowhere, you would hear Narendra Modi break into this uncontrollable laughter, whereas the other person is just standing pretty still, smirking away, trying to understand what caused this tornado of laughter. We thought it was just a one-off thing, but recently a couple of events have come to light. The very recent visit of Narendra Modi to UK, where they signed a big defense deal, was in more ways than one a protocol disaster and a PR and a photo op opportunity disaster as well. Let me show you a video where everything else is choreographed when the two prime ministers, the UK prime minister and the Indian prime minister, are moving around a certain area. Everything in that area, even the pots and the plants and the sort of inanimate objects, are placed where they ought to be placed. There's nothing left to imagination, and there's no detail that is missing in terms of its handling by the protocol officers who were dealing with that surrounding. When they were moving, there was this stall of a chaiwala that was placed there. It was all choreographed. It was all decided that this guy has to be there. What is he serving? I'm sure the security persons would have tasted his tea as well, would have run a thorough check on this person, and then allowed him to serve tea to both the prime ministers, and even allow him to say a few words. Even those words, knowing how the protocol world works, would have been figured out. But look what happened, and I thought the British were less than kind to the guests that they were entertaining when they allowed this tea server, this chaiwala, to have this conversation with the guest.
So here we go. It's got cardamom, nutmeg, black pepper, cinnamon and ginger powder. There you go.
Fantastic. Thank you very much.
And from one chaiwala to another. You can let me know what you think of my tea.
It sounds like a innocuous kind of a sentence, trying to normalize a very straight-jacketed, straight-laced, and dry kind of a protocol drill, trying to humanize it, trying to make it look very normal. But it turned out to be very embarrassing for the chaiwala to say nothing to the UK Prime Minister and simply serve him tea, saying, here's your tea, sir. But when he's serving the same cup of tea to the Indian Prime Minister, he ends up recalling the humble origins of the Indian Prime Minister by saying that from one chaiwala to another chaiwala. For those who would be trying to find meaning in this sentence should know that the Indian Prime Minister long time ago used to serve tea at the railway station. His mother used to wash clothes. He is from humble origins, and he has made his way to the top, which is a great thing. I'm the last person to say that humble origins are a disqualification. In fact, it's a great thing if you could, from rags, move to the political riches. It's an amazing story of success. But the hosts, the way they played it, didn't seem to be underlying that fact. It was almost as if the Indian Prime Minister needed to be reminded of who he was, where he came from, and that too in a country where he was supposed to be dealt with greater grace. Yes, the host probably didn't have this angle in mind. This sentence that was said to the Indian Prime Minister was meant to create a bit of a light environment, but it didn't come across as like that. As I said, there's nothing light about protocol handling. How did the Indian Prime Minister react to that? He just didn't know what to say. Let me repeat the same sentence again, and you just watch for now how the Indian Prime Minister was reacting to it.
There you go.
Fantastic. Thank you very much.
And from one chaiwala to another. You can let me know what you think of my tea.
So the Indian Prime Minister just kind of giggled. He had nothing to say because this was not really decided that the chaiwala will be telling him that I'm a chaiwala and so are you. You used to be. You may be a guest here and you may represent what you think is the greatest country on the face of this earth. But really, this is who you are. And he had nothing to say. So that's one thing. Here, probably the Indian Prime Minister was put in a bit of a tight spot, and you don't expect him to think on the hoof and come up with a sizzling witticism. That's not how Modi's thinking works. He depends entirely on his basic instinct, which has to be sharpened and turned into strong sentences by his long team. But that's for domestic purposes. At the international arena, he's not the kind of guy who is going to come up with the smart responses to awkward situations. So that was something that probably would go down as a protocol breach by the host. But the other one is squarely Narendra Modi's own doing. Look at how he greets the UK Prime Minister and how he addresses him, and then how he is desperately looking to somehow extend the greeting process so that more pictures could be made. He's groping to somehow find his hand. He wants to extend a handshake where the handshake isn't supposed to be taken. And how dry and protocol savvy and not going to give you that kind of a space attitude that the Indian Prime Minister faced from his host. It's an amazing video. It tells you so much about what has become of Narendra Modi as he comes under increasing domestic pressure.
Yes, I appreciate it. Let's do a handshake for me.
So did anybody not tell Narendra Modi when the handshake is going to take place? Did anybody not tell Narendra Modi that you're supposed to not hug him so tightly, and the guy didn't know what to do with that hug. Did anybody not tell the Indian Prime Minister why you are looking for your counterpart's hand when the hand is not supposed to be available for a handshake till such time that you reach that point where a handshake for photo op is to be done? I'm sure everybody told Narendra Modi this 100 times. Narendra Modi must have done this himself many hundred times more. But what is happening here is that Narendra Modi now wants to strut about the international stage, trying to prove that he's a man who knows everybody. He's a man who strikes a personal link and chord with great world leaders, that he knows everybody and everybody knows him. So it's that kind of a street boys gang image that he is trying to portray. And unfortunately, every time he does that, he fails hopelessly. When you are not a natural with personal chemistry, when you are somebody who's thrust into the limelight, and you just happen to represent a country which, because of its geographic weight and whole host of other factors, is taken seriously at the global stage, do not think that this is a personal compliment. Narendra Modi is fighting a grim domestic battle. He's battered badly in the war theatre. The opposition is drubbing him out of shape on a whole host of areas. He has to prove a point to the world that he's still relevant, that he matters, that he has arrived. And the more he tries to do it, he doesn't really have it in him, and he stumbles and falls. This is a classic case of a man who's under tremendous pressure, trying to somehow create global attention by photo op. And that photo op, every time he does it, turns out to be an unmitigated disaster.